the cows on the back. Okay, donkeys, all right, good deal. And you all do any sound effects? Let's hear a train whistle. Come on, woo, woo. You got to pump your arm. Yeah.
All aboard.
Woo, woo. Yeah, see, there you go. You know, that's perfect. All right, so good deal. Now, Len, you want to hear a stupid joke that I heard the other day from this girl?
Sure.
What do you get when you drop a piano? Off back to your right, or you'll see the Black Diamond crosscut. That tunnel goes straight back there for about 1,200 feet to the Black Diamond vein, and there's a small shaft back there. It's what we call a winze. It goes down 250 feet below this 1,000-foot level. So the overall depth of this mine is about 1,250 feet, but the main shaft that we came down is just over 1,000 feet deep. And when you come down, and you can see on that other air tram, it does have a small train whistle, so they did have a small whistle on it. There we go. So that was kind of a short ride on the man trip, but it gives you an idea how we move a group of miners underground. And we never had a man trip this fancy. Called a junction, where all these tunnels come together in one place like this. And it's normally where we'll put the tool room, and so this is where the nipper would come to get tools for the miners working in different parts of the mine. And we do repairs on the bench over there, so that's all done right down here in the mine. And that little bicycle ring there, that's what the mine boss rides on. And one nice thing about that is it makes a lot of noise going down the track. You can tell when the boss is coming to get back to work. Yeah, there you go. You're doing good. We'll see you in a couple of days. Yeah, there you go. All right. There you go, Luke. You did good. And Luke, you have a white hard hat. Bosses have a white hard hat, so you're perfect. So, and I'll mention Nick here. Nick is an old timer from Victor. He's gone now, but Nick and my dad were partners over on the Crescent mine back in the 1950s. That's a big old mine, about 3 miles in there. And then once I get this gate closed, this is where the forced labor begins. But where it all started here was an old crazy Bob Womack. This is all ranch land to begin with. So he was a cowboy and a rancher and a part-time prospector. And he first discovered gold here back in 1878. He was also quite an alcoholic. And so it took him 12 years to convince the skeptics that there was gold in the solid granite up here on the southwest slope of Pikes Peak. So it wasn't until 1890 before the mining really picked up around here. And Bob Womack, he sold his first claim, which he called the El Paso Lode. It's now the Gold King mine. But he sold that first claim he has for $500 in a case of whiskey, and he died broke. And there was a bunch of multi-millionaires and 28 millionaires from Iowa back in 1891, a long time ago. He came out to visit her husband and son. Her son, Perry, there was a surveyor on the mines, and Mollie was out hiking around the hills one day trying to chase down a herd of elk because she'd never seen an elk in Iowa. And then they went in the next day to check it out, and there were crystals of gold sticking off the walls, and they were just sparkled. It's in a molten form. You pour it into what they call a witch's hat, which is a cone-shaped device that is inverted. When it cools off in that witch's hat, well, then we turn it over. I thought it was hated.
You don't have to run fast, just faster than this one guy.
And so whoever's up front there, if you want to take the chain off of the hook and just put it on the other side, and then walk on over there by that rope. And if you're afraid of heights, well, then look down. And if you do look down, well, hang on to your hard hat, your camera, and your baby, and rubbing down that hole. And right up over your head there, that's the original Mollie Kathleen vein. That's the vein of gold she discovered some 130 years ago up on the surface. And now it's been pretty well mined out down here for 1,000 feet. And then down below, this is one of the last places they were working in the mine in 1961, just before the mine closed down, and they were trying to get as much gold and silver out of the mine as they could before it closed down. And so they did sink this little shaft down there. It's what we call a winze, and that is spelled W-I-N-Z-E, and a winze is like a mine within a mine, and this winze is about 80 feet deep here, but you blast the rock out down there, and you load the rock into that bucket, and those old-timers, when they got that bucket full of rock up here to begin with, they were just pulling the rock out a piece at a time, and then eventually they'd tip the bucket over and shovel the rock out. So it was fairly time consuming, but later on some genius, and I mean the guy was pretty smart, that came up with this metal plate here. It's called an apron, and that apron, it helps to, but it's quite a relic, so I'd get a shot of that. And if you want a video of this, but anyway, this is how we dump that ore bucket, and this is not too loud. So you see how that apron picks up that chain on the bottom of the bucket and then just tips the bucket over and dumps the rock out. So pretty clever idea, whoever came up with that. But I'll go ahead and pick it back up again now.
Someone working down.
And this is another one of those gravity feed chutes that we set up at the bottom of the stroke there. But that lamp there, that's called a mine safety lamp. And people ask us if there's any gases down in the mines here. We don't have any methane, no explosive gases like they have in the coal mines. But we do have a condition down here called bad air or dead air. And it is carbon dioxide. And when the barometric pressure is really low with that carbon dioxide, it comes into the mine and it replaces the oxygen in the air. And it's heavier than oxygen, so it fills up the mine just like
east.
It's west, so you tried. That's all right. Don't feel bad. Most people say north, so it's due west. So in fact, the vein out there is called the west vein. And right there, Lynn, that's north. That's where we were back there, but that's due north. You can see the bicycle and all. And if your job or school or whatever, you probably have a pretty fancy cafeteria. This is our lunchroom underground. It's called the hall guide. And your lunch bucket over there, the pail over there, is called a pie can. And sometimes we'll blast at noon instead of the end of the day. And so we'll come out here to the hall guide and we'll eat our lunch and count the shots as they're going off. So this is the original Hard Rock Cafe here. And when we do blast it, remember there's a lot of dust and powder smoke in the air, and so this is part of our ventilation system here. It's called an air bag or a vent bag. We attach that to the fan over here, and that fan blows the fresh air back into the heading and all. And then this is our bell system here. This is how we communicate with the hoistman up on top to go up and down the shaft. And they made this fairly standard in all the hard rock mines around the western United States, because if you're like Nick, Nick was a scrap miner, and he worked at a lot of different mines, and if they would have had a different bell system on every mine, it would have been really confusing, and so they made it the same. But to get from the surface down to this 1,000-foot level, we gave the hoistman a 2-5-3-2. 2-5 is the 10th level, the 1,000-foot level. 3 bells is man on or people on, and then 2 bells is lower. And then say if you want to go from this level back up to the 700-foot level, you'd give the hoistman a 2, and then just pull down really hard, pull down hard. See, you did good. Perfect. What's wrong with that? You did real good.
Thank you.
Lynn, come on over. Let me get a picture of you here. So, there you go. Turn around, look at the camera. There you go.
Yes.
Good, yeah. There you go. Perfect. That was perfect. So, Reggie, you want to get a picture?
No.
I'll do it.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, get a picture of him. There you go. All right, perfect. There you go. That was perfect. It's kind of like the Morse code, but here's the 3-1 to get us out of here. So here's 3-1. And this is the display. display bell, but he has that same bell up on the hoist room, and that's what he hears up there on top. So, and this is one way you never want to leave them on, is in one of those, that's a mine rescue basket, or storage basket. If you get hurt down there, they'll strap you in there. And in some cases, in a small mine or a very small shaft, where you go up the shaft and that thing vertically, they'll hang that off the bottom of the oar skip or off the bottom of the cage. You can see that little hook there on the bottom of the cage, that clevis, and they'll hang it off of that clevis, and then you go up the shaft vertically. And if it comes off of that hook of that clevis, you come back down that shaft about 900 miles an hour, and then you don't have to worry about being hurt anymore. You're done for.
Same as before?
Yeah, that's exactly. Just a second here, and I'll come over. They just don't like people standing around the shaft, because if something comes out of the shaft, it can go right through your hard hats. And miners, we do have an attitude. If anything ever happens to us down there, we're involved in a cave and anything like that, you could never be buried any deeper, any cheaper. And that's the way it is. So anyway, this is the top cave. Yeah, it was all four of you. That's right. So yeah, you're doing fine.
Yeah, we're going first, buddy.
Another mine. And a lot of people, they think this cave is fast, and actually this is and some of the big mines like that Crescent mine my dad worked on.
So there's a few horizontals in here, isn't there?
The nut skip over there would go up down the shaft at rate of 3,000, put them in 6 times as fast. And that's what they haul them like at.
Look at a lot of those bolts are rusted right there.
Oh, I bet.